This tutorial is going to show you how to create this Allen wrench, hex key, whatever you want to call it, in Autodesk Inventor using the sweep tool. Now for the sweep tool, I need two things. I need the path being swept, and I need the profile that I'm sweeping. Now this profile has a chamfer done, and chamfer happens after you have a solid body. So for this, we're going to need to ignore the chamfer for the time being. Now I have a 6-sided polygon here, and flat to flat I have a dimension of 0.218. So that's what I'm going to work on creating for the profile, and the path is going to be just a real simple line, arc, and line. And there's a couple dimensions here for that as well. It really doesn't matter which one I do first. I think a lot of people get started with the path first, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to use the origin for my starting point. It's going to it's going to allow me to integrate my path and profile at one finite place, which I think makes it easier. Now, once I create my line, arc, and line, I have to make sure that there's a tangent relationship to both lines to the arc. If I don't have that, I'm going to have difficulty trying to get this to sweep correctly. Now, I do have a dimension here between or essentially the entire length of my path here, and that's 4.875. And then I also have kind of a depth dimension here, and that is 2 inches. Lastly, I have a 0.375 or 3/8 of an inch size for my arc. And after that, I'm fully constrained since I started on the origin. So that's all I need for my first sketch. Now for my second sketch, I have to pay real close attention to which sketch plane I sketch on. So open up, expand your origin folder, and since I started on the origin, I want the plane that's perfectly perpendicular or 90 degrees to this. Now, actually both of these planes are, but I have to sketch from the front and sweep around my path. So I'm going to be selecting this plane there. So I have some options on how I can make this hex. The easiest of which is to use the Polygon Tool and make sure I have 6 sides here. And I'm actually going to start it exactly on the origin. If this was not on the origin, I would need to take my project geometry tool and import the endpoint from my path. Or if I made my profile first and was doing my path second, I would have to import the center point of my path. But since I use the origin pretty much exists in all planes, so I can project it to develop good practice, but it's fine as is. I'm going to start my polygon right on that, and do make sure that you orient your polygon correctly. I can see from the picture here that my point is vertical, so I'm going to replicate that. But first, I'm going to put my dimension in here, and I know that flat to flat is 2.18 inches. Oh, excuse me, that was incorrect, is 0.218. Now the last thing I have to do is orient my polygon, and judging from the drawing which I'm replicating, I'm going to be using a vertical relationship with the center point and one of the outside points. And that is all the information I need because I use the Polygon tool, which includes a lot of constraints. So once I have those two sketches, I'm going to grab the sweep tool, and if things are working right, usually it'll figure out the profile you want. Then it's asking you for the path, and so you just have to click on that. Now it should give you a preview. If it doesn't give you a preview, there's a problem. That's not going to create what you want. And most often that problem is one of two things. It's your line is not smooth, aka there's tangents missing, or maybe there was no arc at all and it was just two lines. That's not going to work. It has to be smooth in order to sweep. Or the other thing is your path and profile don't share a point, which is where that project geometry comes in. But this one is good to go, so I'm just going to let that happen. And lastly, I'm going to use the Chamfer tool. I'm going to put my distance in first, which is 0.02, and I'm going to select the edges. And there's going to be 6 of them here. And I'm going to do the other side as well. Go ahead and click OK. And I always like to end with the same orientation. So I'm going to set that as my home view. And that is 100% complete. That's how you create your hex key or Allen wrench with the sweep tool.